This question is about how to start a part-time mobile detailing business while being a teacher. So they ask, I would like to know how to start your business as a part-time mobile detailer. I am a high school teacher who has a low budget for marketing, equipment, and chemicals. I would like to offer only interior cleaning since I think it is more marketable to soccer moms and to those parents involved in travel sports. Okay, so that's fantastic. I think one of the best situations to be in when you want to start your business is to already have a job, because every person's going to be different in terms of their lifestyle, right? A 19-year-old living with their parents with no bills is a completely different scenario than a high school teacher who works however many hours, has, maybe a summer break. Those are two completely different like just scenarios. So as a whole, if you can keep your job, and this is just as not for this example, but in general, like the longer you can keep your job, I think the more flexibility and the more leverage you have to do things. Um, so, in the beginning phases, things are always just simply going to be a little sporadic. You have to fit in the vehicles where you can. I'm assuming the weekends. Um, you're not going to spend that much, nor do you need to spend that much money on tools or products, because you're working with limited time. I'm assuming you're not like in a rush where like, hey, I want to leave in 2 months. So, in that regard, I think it's fantastic to have a job when you want to start your business. The problem when people want to leave their job and like, oh, I want to go full in on my business, is that you don't make anywhere near as much money that you need to sustain your business, let alone sustain your lifestyle. And again, each person is going to look differently, but for the most part of what I see, people typically don't make enough when they go full on into their business to cover their personal lifestyle, let alone to fuel growth in their business, right? So if you are if you're currently if you currently have a full-time job, which I think is fantastic, um I would first start off with like, how much do you want to make per month, right? um Depending on where you live, what you do, all these things are going to be different. But if you're a part-time high school teacher, let's say you want to make, I don't know, $2,500. Let's just keep it simple, $2,000 a month, right? Let's say your goal is $2,000 per month. And if you listen to the previous podcast episodes, I talk about like how to hit your goals with budgeted hours and tracking your numbers and doing all these things. In this scenario, like, you're already super busy with school and lessons and doing all these things, to where I wouldn't overcomplicate the beginning at all in terms of like doing all these extra things. So what I would say is like, if you want to make, and let's keep it even more simple. Let's just say 1,500. And let's say you have the weekends off, right? So I don't know what this means, but let's say you have, let's say 6.5 days. Let's say 6.5 days. Um, that you 6.5 days that you have free. So if you want it to look like that, like, you could say like, oh, each off day I need to make $230, right? Whether that's one detail, two details, what have you. But then you don't want to work every weekend that you have, because you're already working a full-time job. So, let's say you want to do that over the course of 3 days. So that means in those 3 days, you need to make $500, right? Now, interior cleanings, I think, is a fantastic one to start off with. Anything short of correction, coating, and maybe even, I think to start off with, you could do a wash style service, a maintenance interior cleaning, which is a thorough vacuuming, a wipe down, and cleaning the glass. And you can package that into like a maintenance detail if you do the exterior, the interior. You can do interior detail. It's really not that big of a deal. You just need to learn how to do it. But an engine detail, you could do an exterior detail, or like, I call it like a wash and wax, where it's cleaning the wheels and tires, washing the vehicle, doing a clay bar treatment, and then applying a sealant to the vehicle, addressing the tires. You could do that. The only thing that you need is like a very like $150 polisher. That way you can get a black foam pad to apply the wax or sealant. So I think if you could do all that, that would be engine detail, interior detail, a wash, a maintenance interior detail, and if you bundle those together, you could that could be a maintenance detail of some sort. You could do a wash and wax if you get the polisher. And that right there is one, two, three, four, five. That's five services right there. I think that's like a core set of services you can offer when you're just getting started, where you don't need that many tools and products. Like for instance, on the interior detail, you're gonna purchase your all-purpose cleaner, your brushes, your towels, your vacuum, and then you can use that same all-purpose cleaner for the engine detail, right? And you can use that same all-purpose cleaner to clean the wheels and tires, right? So that one has a lot of versatility. Now, in terms of the brushes, I wouldn't if you purchase brushes for the interior, you want to keep those for the interior, right? Because you don't want to go and clean wheels and tires and then use those same brushes on the interior. So the brushes that you purchase for like the exterior, you can use those for the engine detail, for the wash, and for the wash and wax, right? So the same brushes you use to clean the wheels and tires are the same brushes you use to clean the engine. And the same APC you use for the interior detail is the same APC that you use for the engine detail. So you start to get a lot of cross usage of these products. Um, so that's good. And honestly, like if you're being very watchful and and you like you seriously don't need that many tools and products to do these services. I mean, if we have a full shop with cabinets and cabinets of tools and products and things, but for like basic things, we grab the same thing over and over and over, right? The only where it might be different is on the interior, depending on the type of interior cleaning that you do. Like for instance, if you go with steam, and you don't use an extractor, well then you don't need to use the, I forget what it's called, the flex, the flex products. I forget what they're called. But if you keep it simple, you would just need and there's so many products. I'm not even gonna mention any names because there's so many products. But using a steam cleaner is gonna be different than using an extractor. And even if you use an extractor, you could use a Bizzle Pro Heat would have you just getting started. Like all these things, you can do these things a lot. You can do it very, very simple. Like you don't need to spend that much money. Nor should you, because like again, you're a part-time, you want to do this part-time, you're a full-time teacher, like you don't have much time to begin with. So I would definitely lean on being lean with what you purchase. Like you really don't need that many things for this set of services and for where you are. Now, obviously, like you're doing 2-3 cars a day, every day, now it's a different conversation. But for just doing it on the side, getting started, you don't need, like, I think you can get everything. Again, depending how you are and what you purchase, like under $500 to get all of this, to perform these services. Maybe 700 for sure, under 1,000. Like that's no question. For sure, under $750, you can purchase everything that you need. To do all five services, right? So that's that. Now, in terms of marketing and how you get your customers, well, I would for sure, like without a shadow of a doubt, I would heavily lean on your network, your peers, where you are. Not just because you're already at a school, but like this is just general advice for anyone. Like if you're trying to start your business, like start with the people that already know you, that already have some form of a relationship. Start with them. Like even if you're younger, whatever, is like go start with your family, friends and family members. Like they already know you, they want to support you. They have friends that probably need a detail. Like be very open and transparent and communicate with everyone. So it's the same thing I would take with you with like, and obviously you're at a school, so like there's tons of teachers and such. So, the way you present it is going to be, in a very friendly, hey, I'm starting this business. Hey, if you need any services, like just, to get started, I'm doing this. Maybe you can hand them like a little brochure or send them a link to something. But with that one, I would heavily, heavily, heavily lean on your network, on your inner circle, on all the teachers and people that you talk to. Tell the students that, hey, if your parents need a detail, like we have a business that we're talking, like, because honestly, that's how it is. Because the interesting thing is that like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want to talk to friends and family members because those aren't real customers, right? Real customers. But the thing is, like, if your friend or family member recommends you to one of their friends or family members, now it's a complete stranger to you, right? So, like, I would talk to all your peers and network everyone that you have there. And honestly, I would probably I would start a Google business profile, right? You need to get that up and going. I would try to sprint my way to 50 reviews as fast as I can, in the form of free or very cheap services. So, like, for instance, I would say, like, hey, like, if you're, whoever you're talking to, like, hey, like, I just started this business. I'll wash your car for $10 if you, and then in exchange, just leave me a review, like a very good quality review. And I would do that with your core set of friends or networks or peers, what have you, for the first 50. Because one, you can get photos and videos for social media for your website whenever you make one. You can one, just get more experience yourself if you don't have that much experience. So that's super helpful. And one thing I like to say is, like, there's never one thing that, like, truly grows your business. It's an accumulation of, like, all these little things pointing in the right direction that help you grow your business. Like, marketing is important. It's not the only thing. Sales is important. It's not the only thing. Knowing your numbers is super important, not the only thing. So if you want a full in-depth training on all aspects of running your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's social media, whether it's knowing your numbers, I have all that inside my online training platform called Detailers Growth Academy. It's one monthly price and you get access to all the trainings. You can click the link down below and check it out. 3, you get to see the types of conditions that you're working on. And, like, let's say, like, oh yeah, like, I'm doing it for free or very cheap because, I'm just getting started. But you'll realize, like, oh yeah, like, I'm doing it for free or for cheap because I'm just getting started. But, like, if I get another customer for this style of vehicle in this size, in this condition, like, there's no way I would do this more. There's no way I would do this for less than $150 or $300, what have you, right? You really get to see of, like, oh man, like, I'm okay with doing it for free because, I'm whatever. But, like, if this is a real customer, like, I'm not doing this for the $100. Like, this is so much work. So it opens up your eyes to say, oh, okay, like, it gives you a better perspective and, like, what you should be pricing because you're actually doing the work now, right? So there's so many benefits, right? When you're working on someone's vehicle, post it on your social media, tag them in there, and then they can reshare their story, your story on their story, and then boom, you're now accessing their network and their peers and their audience. So in the beginning phases, I would heavily lean on being cheap or free to get reviews, to get momentum, to get content, to get your name out there, because, like, that's really what's needed. Now, if this question was saying, hey, I want to start a new business. I am starting off with $50,000. I'd like to get to 15,000 per month. What's the strategy for that? It's a different ballgame, right? Because you can deploy the money a lot differently, and you can actually spend money to generate leads, to close leads, to follow up on leads. You have a different set of criteria to work with, right? In this example, we're thinking, like, a lot more grassroots, a lot more like, hey, we're just kind of pounding the pavement and, like, doing what needs to be done. Both of them work. It just what we have in terms of tools that we have available for, in terms of, like, what we can do to get customers is going to be different, right? So in this case, I would very heavily lean on being cheap or free until you get your first 50 reviews. Now, does that necessarily mean you have to do the work? No, like, if you have your friend, sister, brother, what have you, and you're like, hey, just, like, copy and paste this review on my profile, right? I would be very careful about this, though, because I've spoken with other detailers that wanted to start their business, and they're like, hey, yeah, I opened up my business profile, and it got shut down because, like, I started getting friends to just leave me reviews, but, like, they left the reviews in a spammy way of, like, you could tell it was a manipulated review, and Google doesn't like that, so it shut down their profiles. So in that regard, you want to be careful. But again, like, if you tell your brother, like, hey, like, here's these photos, here's a copy and paste review, go to my profile and just upload it yourself, right? Like, I mean, is there really any harm in that with your brother? No. But I would lean heavily on the cheap and free because I would want to get all those other things in place. Again, I want to get the reviews, I want to get the content, I want to get the experience, I want to see different vehicles, different conditions, because the faster you can move on that, the faster you will just improve, right? It's the exact same way when we first started doing window tint. I was not worried in the slightest bit about, hey, we have to be profitable on these jobs. Hey, we have to make sure we're hitting our hourly rate. Hey, we have to make sure we're under budgeted hours. I wasn't worried about that at all because we were so new and green to window tinting that all I wanted to do is like, hey, we need more. We just need more reps. Like I don't care if we're charging 200 or 400. Like we just need more reps. Like we're gonna lose money in the first 25 jobs because we're still learning. Like this is, we've practiced on our own with our plotter, hand cutting, but like we haven't worked on, all these dozens and dozens of vehicles. So like we just need more reps. Book that job, man. Like it's okay. Like come in on a Monday and stay a little later, or yeah, like give them something for free, or yeah, redo it 3 times. Like because we're just learning. Like I'm not worried about like, hey, we have to be profitable, or like we're not hitting our numbers because we're so new to it that like we have to go through the reps and we have to get the experience and we have to go through this motion. Yeah, maybe in 6 months, when we're more comfortable, that's when we say, okay, we've done a dozen of these, whatever. Like on this one, let's go for 4.5 hours. And it's like, yeah, I think we're at that point where we have a few cars underneath our belt, and we're a lot more efficient. So yeah, let's go for 4.5. So over time, once you get those reps, you can start to kind of you can start to set different goals or have a different game plan. But in the beginning, no, like we would take on any window tint job because we want the experience. We want the review from the customer. We need the content for the website. So at that regard, it's like just bring it all in and let's work on everything because we need the reps. It's no different here. When you're just getting started, it's like, yeah, like you need the reps. Like I wouldn't focus too much on like what you're charging or being profitable because like you need the reps, you need the content, you need to start building that flywheel. And get that spinning. That way, like you build momentum behind yourself. Because if you try to be too like, if you're too focused on like, oh, we'll have to make this much, I say things will just move so much slower for you. So that's what I would look at. Because then after that, you can go into look at paid advertising because that would be the quickest thing that you can do. In terms of like getting results now. But again, that's a whole different set of worms in terms of what you have to understand or what you have to learn with a landing page, with Google Ads, with making sure the landing page is optimized for conversions, then your sales process, how you follow up. So I would forego that right now. Again, unless you're saying, hey, I have $20,000 to start with. I'm going to leave my day job in 30 days. What's the game plan? Now we're talking a lot, a much different strategy. But I think overall, like, and I've spoken to many other detailers too, of that have their jobs, and I'm like, look, dude, like, I get you're super excited. I get like you're fully like you're committed to doing your business. The issue is that the money won't catch up fast enough, and then what happens is you put yourself in such a tight little pickle that you miss this bill, or this bill is getting a lot tighter. And you wanted to spend $1,000 a month on ads, but because these bills are getting are kind of stacking up a bit, you go from 1,000 to 700, and you think, oh well, I'll just book a few more jobs and I'm gonna make up for it, and then that doesn't happen, and then the 700 goes to 500 a month, and then things just don't stack up as quickly as you thought they would, or things didn't pan out the way you did, and then the money just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and then at some point, it just gets too difficult to think, like. Then you're not really thinking strategically or like, hey, what's the next right move, or what can I? It's like at some point it just starts to get to like, hey, I just need money to pay the bills, and at that point you're not growing a business, you're not creating your lifestyle, you're not creating freedom, you're just barely managing to survive to pay off your bills, and that's where you don't want to be because that's where you make nothing but short-term decisions because you need the money right now, and it's very 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 hard to that was actually the timer for my drink that's in the freezer. I have to go get it. But it just makes it so much harder to have an open mind in terms of like thinking bigger picture because you're just so in the weeds of like, hey, I need this $200 because I have my $100 bill that I need to pay. So like I need that to pay that, and man, hopefully that customer tomorrow comes through because man, I really need that $200. That's what you don't want to be in, ever. So I'll go ahead and end it right here. Hopefully, to anyone that wants to start a part-time side hustle, what have you, this helped you in some way. Big picture is spend at the least amount that you can. And if you do have some sort of budget, put most of that into marketing or advertising. And if you don't have that budget, it's all about talking to people, getting out there, telling them what you do, because that is what you have available. So I will talk to you guys on the next one.